It's time to focus on the things you need, the things you deserve. You deserve a healthy body, supplements that get you moving and keep you moving, that make you feel good, look good, do good. And they shouldn't contain GMOs, artificial ingredients, or heavy metals, ever. Supplements that are clinically studied, use proven absorption technologies, are designed by scientists, and are ethically sourced and produced. Supplements with everything you need, nothing you don't. You deserve a company that you can trust, that's dedicated to safe manufacturing practices and third-party testing, that ensures the highest quality of effectiveness from extraction of ingredients all the way to the composition of the packaging. Wait a second. You deserve to see the process. You deserve a company led by a CEO with a deep belief in the power of people, dedicated to inspiring entrepreneurs to achieve success. A company with a phytonutrient chemist and expert on natural molecules who is obsessed with human health and has your best interest in mind to design its products. A board comprised of talented doctors from around the world. You deserve to be surrounded by people you trust and look up to. Empowered ambassadors that inspire wellness every day. Leaders who are rooting for you to be the best version of yourself. A community that works hard and plays hard. You deserve to experience adventures that take you around the world, and you deserve to be recognized for your hard work. It's time to get what you deserve. It's time to shift your focus. 3.
Hello, everyone. Gary Whorton here, and I'm streaming to you this evening from my home right here in Sedona, Arizona. It is good to be home. It has been a busy, well, really, when we think about it, it's been a busy 18 months, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be taking the foot off the gas anytime soon. So I'm excited. I know a lot of you are excited. We just got wrapped up with a leadership event in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I know a lot of you have heard much of the information that's coming out. And so I think this is going to be a good year for us. I think it's going to be a great year for us all over the world. So no matter where you're joining us from, I want to say hello and I want to say welcome. Welcome to this Empowerment Tuesday, where I'm really excited to share with you on a topic that is really important to me. It's deeply impactful, but it's something that has guided my life in a number of ways over many years. And that is truly the power of positive relationships and what that means. I've had some of you know my story a little bit, that I've had quite an adventure. And when I was growing up as a kid, we ended up moving around a lot. And at one point in time, I think I did a count, and I think I went to 18 different elementary schools. So that is a lot of opportunities to reestablish yourself and connect and to build and make new relationships and connections. And there's a few things that I learned over the years of doing that, in that, something really magical happens when you get really focused on the energy that you put out into the world, but also the energy that you allow within your presence. So that's what I want to talk. I want to talk with you about the power of positive relationships tonight, and just kind of go through a list. And I'm going to mix this up a little bit. I pulled in a little bit of scientific data so I could share with you some topics. And this was a really fun process to kind of deep dive over the last week. So I'm excited. I used to believe that success was purely about hard work and perseverance. But what I noticed, something interesting, is that whenever I spent time with highly motivated, forward-thinking people, my own ambitions seemed to skyrocket. And on the flip side, when I was surrounded by When I was surrounded by negativity and complacency, my drive just seemed to diminish, and it was noticeable. And I think that we can all kind of relate to that. I mean, you've heard so many different terms over the years, and I'll try to avoid some of them because I want to keep this as a positive and an upbeat conversation with you all this evening. But yeah, like when you're around the negative energy or the complacency, it's like the energy is being sucked out of you. It's like it's being absorbed by the room itself. And so, um, I really learned early on to be mindful of that. So, and I'm sure many of you have felt that way too. Have you ever noticed how your mindset and your energy habit shifts depending on who you spend the most time with? Yeah, I do. I've definitely noticed it. And over the years, I've gotten hyper mindful about the space I keep and again, the circles that I choose to walk into. I want to say that it was Jim Rohn who said that you were the average of the five people that you spend the most time with. And so selecting those five people, it's really important. And the key to remember as we go through tonight's call, through tonight's talk is that it's just one at a time. That's how you begin in anything, right? Um, you know, choose your circle and choose a north star, a north point, right? And over time that will eventually grow and you'll get to meet other people and your circle will expand and it'll change and shift, and that's what life is about. It's about change. When I was thinking the other day that when I started my real estate career here in Sedona, um, gosh, I mean, that was, I've been in the industry for, I want to say about 18, 19 years. But I didn't actually start sales in Sedona until I want to say about 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And it was interesting. This was a really interesting market for me. And so, it's not a very big town. There's really only about 11,000 people here. And the the real estate here is it's pretty special. I mean, most of the homes here in town are custom homes. It's a refined architecture type community. But you have a lot of real estate agents that have been in this town and operating at a really high level for a long time. And to be quite honest, the average age of the Sonoma local when I moved to town, I want to say it was about 66, 67 years old. I could be off plus or minus by a couple years on that one. But I remember when I started here, and in the beginning, like I had to work, overdrive and really hard for a lot of hours for people even to take me seriously. Excuse me. You have a lot of people again who had built models that they had been working and had their clients trust them for a number of years, and those clients would always trust and return to them, right? And so, really, in order for you to kind of cut your teeth or to make a name for yourself, you had to attract your own new client pool, right? And so I started small. I basically did as many open houses as I possibly could. And a way for me to kind of distinguish myself and set myself apart is that I started using some of the culinary skills that I've developed over my lifetime. And I did a formal culinary training in Europe about 10 years ago to kind of honor my family history. But I started using some of those skills and to create these really cool, elaborate food spreads. And I built a little bit of a name for myself in town, and people took notice. They would continue coming to my open houses, and they would see my name show up on the MLS or in the paper because I would run ads and things like that. And they would say, "Hey, listen, that guy's really nice, but he's got really good food. So I want to go to his open house. I don't want to buy the house, but I want to go, and see what he's got and see what did he cook this week, right?" And I wasn't crazy. I mean, I think I did maybe five elements. And like as a chef, you kind of learn how to kind of tailor it and do things that are a little bit simple and easy, things that are duplicatable, by the way. And so I did that. I did that for at least a couple of years. And something really incredible began to happen is that while I wasn't selling a lot of homes in the beginning, I was meeting a lot of people and we were conversing over food, which is beautiful in its own right, right? And so we would share, they would talk, I would share with them, and we would build relationships. And over the years, I really got it to kind of refine, I should say, my client group. Now I want to be clear that in the beginning, like there were a handful of clients that we saw things a little bit differently is how I'll say it. But again, like, when you're hungry, you got to take the business that comes to you. And that was my mindset at the time. But again, it wasn't long before I really started to pay attention to something I had been learning my whole life is that the power of the positive relationships is where you're really going to level yourself up and your life experience as a whole. So again, so that's, for me, it's a way that allowed me to kind of ascend in my real estate career and to keep building, to meet new people, new doors would open. And lo and behold, you know what I mean? That one day, I would pull up, in front of a little store right here in West Sedona, and a little Chinese woman who couldn't be more than, I don't know, 5'5" or something like that, got in my car, and I built one of the most beautiful friendships in my life, and that would be Kim. So that's how that happened, my friends. Again, it's just a lifetime of just working with people and connecting and just recognizing that some relationships, are going to move you forward. And you have to be mindful because some relationships that people are stuck in their patterns or their habits, those are ones that you got to be thoughtful of because they can hold you back. So there's no other way that I think that I can say that. So I just have to say it the way that it is. Um, I want to go into a little bit of detail, and again, this is a part of the research that I started doing through the project. Is so the science of proximity, I think, is really fascinating, and some of this information I didn't know, so I'm going to kind of share it with you. And I've got a couple of my notes side by side here, so I can kind of help guide me through. But your inner circle is going to shape your reality, right? And there was a study that was done with Yale and Harvard, and it was the social contagion theory. And this was Dr. Nicholas Christosis and James Fowler. And what they found is that just like a virus, behaviors and emotions spread through social networks, right? And we see that, right? Like, in Sedona, we have the saying that your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Well, there's all kinds of vibes out there. There's ones that lift you up and maybe ones that don't. So, I can see how, on the obvious front that would make a lot of sense. But if your close friends are obese, apparently the studies show that you have a 57% chance to be more likely to be obese as well. Conversely, if your circle of friends and especially your immediate circle, is people who are fitness oriented and go to the gym and work out, that is going to be the chances for that also happening in your life are also going to be much higher as well. And same thing with financial influence. And so, if your circle is ambitious and they have financial drive, you are more likely to succeed financially. And that's basically what the study says. So I would challenge you to do this. I would challenge each of you is to think about the five people that you spend the most time with. Um, what are their habits? You know, their ambitions. What are their values? How are they influencing your own? Right? If you're going to be spending this much time, with others in some regard, that you want to be mindful of that because again, just a small adjustment of increasing people to your circle that'll help challenge you and move you forward is going to have an incredible positive impact on you. There's another component to their study, which is called the mirror effect, and the mirror effect is a neuroscience basically, and it's called mirror neurons. I think, yeah, I'm almost certain I got that right. But your brain mirrors the behaviors of those around you, consciously and subconsciously. If you're surrounded by go-getters, your brain mimics their ambition. If you're surrounded by pessimists, your thoughts mirror their negativity. So you got to be mindful. I want to say it's James. Is it James Wooden? I think it's James Wooden says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." That's a good one. It's a good one, and I can tell you there's a lot of truth to that. Um, there's another component to their study, and it's called the elevation phenomenon. And by surrounding yourself with high achievers, pulls you up to their level. When you think about somebody like maybe a great sports athlete. So we're going to take Kobe Bryant actually for a moment here, and I love Kobe. Like I mean, for me, I think he is the greatest of all time. I know that there are varying opinions, so I know that we all have our thoughts on that, but I think Kobe was incredible in a lot of different ways, and he had such a devotion. I mean, this guy was obsessed with the idea of learning from Michael Jordan. And it wasn't just about his basketball technique, though. This is key important. It was about Michael Jordan's mindset, right? And so, when you think about Kobe and all that he achieved over the years, it wasn't just the pattern he was looking to duplicate, it was also the lifestyle and the mindset, the belief systems. Really powerful. When I started surrounding myself with people who were constantly growing and evolving, my own goals began to grow and expand. I had a situation like that just this week, and it actually was with Kim. And so I won't go into details about it, but she challenged a couple belief patterns of mine, and I actually had to, and I was actually pretty certain on them. And I had to really like take a moment and step back and say, wow, even years later, I still encounter my own limiting beliefs. So it's really important to have those that are close to you help you challenge on those. Um, who is in your life currently? Who's in your life currently that's elevating you? Conversely, is there an energy in your life that is a bit of a struggle that's holding you back? It's information is power, my friends, and so as long as you're aware of it, then you know how to navigate it and whatnot. I am a big believer that there's a lot of people that are on the path that are looking for change, and sometimes they just don't know how to find that change themselves, right? And so I have beautiful family and friends, and some of them have their own struggles, and I always make an effort to hold space, for those that I see that are trying, that are willing to do the work, that are willing to put themselves out there and to challenge themselves and their belief patterns. What are they willing to do? So for those, again, like, for me personally, I just want to share a component of this, is that, like, I'm not saying that you should just remove everybody from your life that doesn't think like you. I want to be really clear about that. What it is that, like, there are those that you got to hold space for, and those things are different. So just be mindful as you go through. But I think that you do know, I mean, if you have somebody in your life that you're really wanting to move forward, and you want to have certain achievements, and yet this person, maybe they want to hang out at clubs every single night of the week or things like that, that might be a disalignment in values that'll be valuable to you to take a look at. So um, there's a hidden downside, so continuing this theme, and I'll kind of rip off, and we'll get the more difficult portion of it out of the way a little earlier. But there's a hidden downside for surrounding yourself with people who are still stuck in their pattern, right? Who are not willing to do the work and to break through. There's a hidden cost of that comfort. And so you want to be mindful, again, like, all things are information, all things are power. Low achieving circles create a sense of comfort, and they create a sense of complacency. They intentionally will hold you back, and it'll manifest, it'll continue, because it'll be a discouraging risk that'll make you feel left behind. You'll settle for mediocrity, make you even question your own ambitions. So I remember hearing a story years ago, and I actually took the next step, and I looked up a YouTube video to check it out. So this might be something for all of you to check out. But it was the theory of the crabs in a bucket, right? So fishermen, if they take a bucket, and let's say they're on a dock or a pier or something like that, and they have a bucket full of crabs. Observe the crabs. Maybe you're walking, or if you want to take a look at the video, you can check it out and look at the pattern of behavior. Inevitably, there's a crab that's always on top, and that crab is doing everything it can to try to get out of that bucket. However, all of the other crabs that are in that bucket below it will do everything that they can to keep that crab from getting out of the bucket. Powerful videos to watch. Be mindful. I remember watching one that was a little bit more gory. I didn't realize that they would kind of dismantle a crab for getting out. So it's a powerful analogy when you think about that. How that can impact you. The energy drain effect. Negative or unmotivated people can drain your mental energy without you even recognizing it. I know that sometimes when we talk about, you guys have heard the saying that, like, some people are like vampires. I think we've all had our fair share and encounter of those. So again, be mindful of that. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, I want to say it is, research on positivity ratio shows that you actually need a 3-to-1 ratio for proper mental health, right? For proper stability in your own life, So when I got to thinking about that ratio, I mean, that kind of struck me is that three positive to one negative, that's 25 to 75%. And I got to be really honest, is that I don't know that that's a space that would even be tolerable for me personally. I was thinking about this last night, uh, uh, in that I would probably surmise that I'm probably around a 10 to 1, right? I really make it a practice to stay in positive pattern, positive thought, practice things every day, whether it's fitness or exercise or meditation, especially for me, um, that that I'm mindful of the thoughts that I put out in the world because I know that I attract them back. And so when I thought about that, I got to thinking about two other people. I got to thinking about Samson, and I got to thinking about Kim as well, and how I wonder what their ratios are, right? Because I think I'm pretty good at it. Like I try to do my homework. But there are times, just like Kim the other day, where she's got to like, brother, that's a limiting belief. You got to raise that. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know. Like I'll put it out there. I think Samson's probably 15 to 20 to 1, or maybe Kim is probably like 20. I'm gonna say probably like 25 to 1. That would be my guess. But anyway, we should test them. We should have Daniel test them at a conference or something at some point in the future. But who is energizing you, right? Go through your process and really begin to think about your sphere and your circle and the energy that you're around, but also the energy that you're putting out into the world. I want to say that it's Tony Robbins who says that relationships are a place that you go to give. I love that. I love that quote for so many different reasons. But to me, it's a reminder of when I show up in any context, how am I showing up? What am I bringing to the room? What am I bringing to the meeting? Did I bring my energy? Or am I walking in it where my mentality and my focus is inverted? So think about that. That's something to really kind of ponder. Um, Oprah Winfrey says that you surround yourself with the people who will lift you higher. That's another great one, right? Like I love the idea of ascension and elevating the vibe and the resonance. So I want to veer off and kind of close the chapter of like move a little bit away from some of like the negativity, because I really want to try to offer you some positive, practical steps on how you can enhance the power of positive relationships that are in your life. And so, the first thing that you got to do, like all things, is that you have to audit your inner circle. It's information. You got to take a real inventory of what you're operating in your life and the circles that you're running in, right? And the beautiful thing about what we do is that this whole model, this whole beautiful life work is about duplication. And I want to say it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago that Holly DeMont reinforced it, is that you know this really is a personal growth course with a compensation plan attached to it. And so when you show up into your meetings or to your Zoom meetings, what are you bringing to your team? How do you do your best to lift the energy up, right? And so as you go through your steps and you begin to audit, be thinking in terms of those is, where's the contribution? How are you able to serve? How are you able to contribute? You should ask yourself, are those people helping you? Or are they keeping you stagnant? You know, are they elevating your mindset or limiting your vision? It's powerful. That's a powerful one to think about. Uh, why I did this exercise is I realized that some people in life are constantly in survival mode. And that's something I think that we're seeing in a lot of different ways right now. We see a lot of change happening in a lot of different industries, and I think a lot of people are trying to find their footing and figuring out what the next path is. I also believe that's why our timing and what we're all doing here together is incredibly profound. And there's a real opportunity to make an impact in a lot of lives around the world just based on the timing alone. Not to mention that we have extraordinary leadership and a product line that is unmatched and beloved by everybody who comes into proximity to it. So, you know, uh, I made the conscious choice to spend more time with people who are thriving. And that in itself, whether it's the personal trainer I work with in the gym who constantly pushes me to go beyond the wall, as Carl likes to say, you know what I mean? That, when I don't think that I can give anything less, like he pushes me forward, and in that space is where you can find growth. Um, Seek out high achievers intentionally, right? Like I was in a parking lot and I had a meeting again with Kim a couple days ago, and she was sharing with me a story about how she's seen people over the years to where, somebody will walk up to them, to somebody who they perceive as successful. Maybe it's the car that they're driving or the restaurant they're eating at or clothes that they're wearing. And she gave like a little bit of a contrast in the story about how that she has seen how there are times where when people are approached by somebody who wants what they have, that in some of them they kind of push them off or brush them off. But the real magic lies in the person who stops and takes the time to share with that individual who's just simply asking how they got to where they are, how they did it. That to me, that is one of the most powerful things that you can do in terms of mindset and seeking out, others intentionally. So I'm not saying that like you should stop somebody in the Safeway grocery store, but like we're really blessed when you think about the leaders that we have in this organization, and whether it's Daniel or Tyson or Holly and Corbin Roush or Holly DeMont or Dr. Alicia Clevenger, you know, when you get a chance, you know what I mean? If you ever see them in passing and they have a moment, maybe just see if you can ask them for one jewel, you know what I mean? And I'll put myself to that as well too, is that like if you ever there, I will do my level best as long as I'm not running in between something to make sure that I share any jewel or nugget that was given to me along the way. So joining mastermind groups is another one that you can do. If you want to get into public speaking, I think that's another interesting one. So Toastmasters is another one that you can kind of look into as well. Any of these type of groups that are masterminds, something that's an active, constructive process of doing something, like it's an active learning, right? Like the difference between active and passive learning is, you're passive when you're sitting in the room and just reading, but when you're actually presenting and having to share the information, you're having to do it. That is an active learning model. So I would highly encourage you to think about that as well. Um, when I think in terms of like professional networks or those kind of communities, I often think about somebody like Richard Branson, right? And so Richard Branson, is known for his adventure, his entrepreneurialism. Founded Virgin Records and then Virgin Airlines a couple times in the last year as a late division, because those models, I don't know if Virgin Airlines is still running. I think it is. But also there's now Virgin Hotels. And they're really cool. It's just another logical evolution in the things that he's creating. But the thing with Richard Branson is that he was adamant that his whole life that he wanted to be around people that he could learn from, that would allow him to thrive, that would push him to go beyond his own perceived barriers. And so I think in so many ways, Richard is a great model for us all to look up to. Um, I started attending events, that were focused around conversations centered around growth and personal evolution. Uh, I had always been like a reader of the information, but really for me, I didn't really fully dive into it like an in-person thing until probably I would say maybe around 12 years ago. And some of the stuff that I did was, from a spiritual perspective, I really liked the work that Deepak Chopra was venturing into, but also Oprah Winfrey has significant contributions in this arena, but as well as Tony Robbins. And many of you know is that I've been a student of his work for many years. Um, and there's something really powerful when you surround yourself with a group of people who are willing to stand with you while you're willing to challenge your own notions, and you get to watch and be a part of it as they do the same. It's magic work. And it's why I think that what we do here, what we do in this industry is particularly unique. And as the world begins to evolve, there's a reason why people are seeing more and more value to it. So high caliber people, who attract others, who inspire them. Having a mindset shift, become magnetic by committing to growth, kindness, and contribution. When I made it a habit to constantly learn and share my knowledge, I noticed my ambitions and the things that I wanted and were able to actually achieve kind of began to increase. Um, I want to go back to that quote about your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Because I think that this is at the very heart of the power of positive relationships, right? Is that how you show up in the world is going to attract that energy back. The yeses that you get, the people that want to work with you. It's a really powerful thing to keep, enforcing in yourself over and over and over again until you get it to a point to where it's just right, until you feel that you're walking into the room, into the world in a way that can be a light for someone else. Strategic positioning, this is another component of one of the studies. Absorb the mindset and the habits of those people that you want to be like. 10 years ago, I wasn't somebody who made the time to make sure I tried to read a certain quantity of books per year. You know what I mean? When I was at the height of my real estate career, it had become so transactional to me. And in that transactional loss of relationship and just business deal after business deal, that's where, I really lost a bit of control, in that my health started to decline. And I knew that I was on a trajectory that was going to set me up for a long and scary and kind of painful journey. Um, Oprah Winfrey, when she was building her career, she strategically surrounded herself with visionaries, authors and leaders, and she didn't wait for inspiration. She just went ahead and did it. I love that. I love that. Sometimes I think that we often wait until we think that we have all of the information before willing to make a move. But you tend to know. You tend to know if you need to make a shift, or there's or something, an area of growth that you need to undertake. So my call to action when I think about this work is, what is the action that you're willing to take to upgrade the power of your relationships in this week? Accountability is a really important thing. So what I would encourage you to do is get with somebody, in your team, and share with them, like, hey, listen, I want to show up in a different way, or maybe, I have been a little bit laxed with, certain relationships and whatnot. So give yourself an accountability model, see where it goes. And then you also get to have a buddy to where you can kind of, challenge each other and see, like, what did I do? What did I do to advance myself? Right. Uh, it's a fun thing to work with. Success, my friends, is not an individual game. And I can't think of any other work. I've often said that this is the most beautiful work I've ever done in my whole life. Because success isn't an individual game. The truth is it's a team sport. And I have never seen a type of work like this that operates in the same way. So, something to think about, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm sure many of you heard of that as well. You know what I mean? I think to myself, when I take the time to work with, anybody, in our company, or on my team, or on somebody else's team, to kind of share with them and help them see something a little bit differently. It's a beautiful gift to them. And it allows me to share. And at our best, I think we're all teachers. If you hang out with five confident people, I want to leave you with this. Like, think about this. If you hang out with five confident people, chances are you're going to be the sixth. If you hang out with five intelligent people, you're going to be the sixth. If you hang out with five people that are, what is a politically correct term I can use? Uh, um, People that are really lost in their path, or doing behavior that they know is not constructive, you're likely going to be the sixth. So be mindful, my friends. It's all love, you know what I mean? And I think that what we're focusing on, what you're focusing on, what I'm focusing on is my why. Why was I willing to step out of my real estate career to do this incredible business? What does that mean to me? You know, am I really showing up for my why if I'm allowing myself to be involved in activities and spheres that are not in my best good? So just something to think about, my friends. I just want to close out by saying, how much I appreciate each and every one of you. And one of the things that I love about this platform is each and every one of you have helped me raise my game. And you've held space for me as I've learned to grow and evolve. And it is my hope, it is my prayer that I get to do the same for you. So, on that note, I want to say thank you so much. I wish you all the very best, and I'm sure we'll see you out there real soon. Thank you. Be well.